But to hear so many other people say, yeah, I bought in, I'm going to go full in on this method. I'm going to trust that it's going to work. I think that gave me a lot of confidence that, okay, it's worked for all these other people who all had different things going on in life. And, they could have used whatever as an excuse, but instead they decided to go all in. They're going to follow this to a T and it worked. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to go all in as well. And I'm just going to trust it's going to work out if I give it my all.
Welcome to another episode of the CPA Exam Experience Podcast from SuperfastCPA. I'm Logan, and in today's episode, you're going to hear me talking with Jordan. Jordan has a great story, and he was able to pass not only the CPA exam, but the CFP as well by using the SuperfastCPA strategies. So this is going to be a great one if any of you are interested in the CFP as well. Now, Jordan originally started out with physical therapy years ago, but he decided to drop out of that pretty quickly and through a series of circumstances ended up in accounting and decided that he wanted to get the CFP and also decided that he wanted to get the CPA. And he was trying to pass the CPA exam. He was struggling. He was failing exams. And one night when he was up in the middle of the night with his baby, one of the SuperfastCPA ads popped up on his phone, but he was across the room, so he wasn't able to skip it, which he had skipped them multiple times. And so he actually listened to it this time, and it was exactly what he was looking for. He purchased it for FAR, and then even a few days later, he purchased the total bundle, and it made a huge difference. He has a lot of great tips and a lot of great strategies throughout this video. Again, especially if you want to not only pass the CPA, but also pass the CFP, I think you're going to want to listen to this whole episode. Now, before we dive into the episode with Jordan, I just want to give one more reminder about our SuperfastCPA training webinar on SuperfastCPA.com. That is 1 hour that will save you months and months of struggling with the exams. We will teach you the key ingredients to passing the CPA exam, so again, you don't waste months or even years of your time failing exams. So make sure you check out that webinar. And with all that, let's dive straight into the interview with Jordan. Thanks for getting on the call with me today, Jordan. I'm really excited to talk to you. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, Logan. How about you?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to the weekend for sure.
Me too.
So you posted in a comment on one of the posts on the forum, and so that's when I think I reached out to you, or you were saying that you were ready to get on the podcast. Is that right?
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So I originally had made a comment that I'd passed my fourth CPA exam, which would have been I would have found out the first week of June in 2024.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll talk about this. You went on and passed the CFP. Is that right? We're using similar strategies.
Okay. Yes, exactly. Use the SuperFast Pro method to study for the CFP, and then pass that later in the year 2024.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. We'll dive into all that, but I remember in your message about, when we were prepping for this, I think you'll have a pretty cool story. So let's just dive straight into it. Where were you, what was happening in your life when you decided to go for the CPA? What's your background?
Okay. So I'm going to back up about 10 years actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually in physical therapy school 10 years ago.
Okay.
Was not enjoying it. Once I got into school, it wasn't what I thought I would want to do with my life,
mm-hmm.
For the next 40 years. So I actually knew somebody who worked at a broker dealer. They recruited me. So I started in wealth management for about 4 years and passed my Series 6, Series 63. And then I was looking at the CFP and I noticed that there's like a 2-year educational requirement. It's like their own proprietary requirement. But if you had a CPA, it knocked out the requirement. So I was like, okay, so how long would it take me to just study that? So I looked and I could get like a degree, an accounting degree online. It would probably take me a year and then study a year for the CPA. And then it's like, well, hey, add a third year and I'd have a CPA plus CFP instead of just the CFP.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what first got me interested in it. And that would have been in the middle of 2019.
Okay. So did you finish, you said physical therapy? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So it's a 3-year program. I finished the first year and then decided it wasn't for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering. If you had gone all the way through it and started, or if you kind of I'm going to switch it up. So
I switched pretty early.
And so that's a very interesting route, like getting to the CPA through wanting to actually get the CFP. So
Yeah.
why, like, I mean, I get the like, okay, hey, I'll be a CPA and have the CFP, but why was like, why was that interesting to you? Why not just go for the CFP if that makes sense?
So yeah, a couple things. So in the wealth management world, one of the big things is you need like centers of influence. And it seemed like every CFP was trying to be close pals with the CPA.
Okay.
And so my thought was, why wouldn't you just be the CPA as well? If that's you're
Okay.
trying to, tap into for a referral network. So while I was at the broker dealer, I went and ran this by my CPA, ran this idea by him. And he was like, hey, actually, we have an opening here. Instead of doing all that over there, just come do that here. Meaning, taking your accounting
Yeah.
classes while you're working here and get the CPA here. And I was like, okay. So then I pivoted into accounting in September 2019.
Okay. So you got into accounting through that kind of roundabout way, and then
Yeah.
so did you actually do like that year-long online school, or how did that go to
Yeah,
get the
so
requirements?
the year-long program turned into 3 years. A
Okay.
week after I signed up, my wife told me she was pregnant.
Yep.
So we had a baby in the mix. Tax season and audit season was way more demanding than I could have ever anticipated.
Hmm.
2-3 weeks after our first daughter was born, COVID hit. So now I'm working and trying to learn the ins and outs of tax and audit while on the job, while taking
Hmm.
exams. So I finally finished that degree in May 2022. From there, I took the Series 65 in November 2022. We were looking at expanding our tax planning services, and one of the partners at our firm was like testing out eMoney, which is a financial planning software. But to be able to actually use it with clients, somebody at the firm needed to have a Series 65. So I just finished my degree, decided to take that. Passed that. The next day, our second daughter was born. It's like the day after the test. So that's the day before Thanksgiving. And then in January 2023 is when I began to start to study for the CPA finally.
January 2023. Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you do to start studying? Did you get a review course? Like, kind of
Yeah.
how did that start?
Yeah. So everybody I talked to was all Becker, Becker, Becker. So I
Hmm.
bought Becker. And I started to go the traditional way. I tried to, fill up the green circles, read every single chapter, watch all of the lectures, and then I would try to find time for questions at the end. And yeah, it was very inefficient because again, we had a newborn daughter. I'm in the middle of tax and audit season, so for our audit season, a lot of times, you'll be out at a client's for an entire week, working 14-hour days. Pretty tough to study while you're doing that and watch all of Olinto's long lectures and
Yeah.
read and highlight this and underscore that, and yes, it just wasn't working. So I did that for about 2.5 months. There was a late night in March of 2023 where I was feeding my daughter and I was watching YouTube videos. And I went across the room to get like a little cloth for her. And then one of Nate's ads started playing. I had skipped his ads probably 20 times. I had never watched more than the
Yeah.
first 5 seconds. And I feel like this was just God intervening and showing mercy upon me because I was such, in a rut. There's like no way I was going to pass SPAR, which is the first exam I was studying for. So the phone was across the room. So I couldn't hit skip, and I listened to like the full pitch. And it was something like, are you a busy professional trying to make it all work and study for the CPA exam? And I was like, yes. Oh my gosh, it's me. Like my daughter was crying. I'm losing it.
As you're holding a baby, and yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it felt like divine intervention. So I listened to the full pitch. I went to his YouTube page and watched, I forget who the interview was with, but it was somebody else who had used Becker. And they were trying to do the green circles method as well. And found Superfast, switched up their whole study method, went the Superfast method, and went on to pass all I think they failed their first exam, found Superfast, and then passed the remaining exams after that. So I just immediately purchased the FAR course. I think that was
Okay.
like March 26th. Just a few days of using that. I went on and purchased the rest of it, like the pro course and all the other 3
Like the total
courses.
bundle. Okay.
The total bundle, like March 29th, 3 days in.
Okay.
I found a couple of coupon codes from
Yeah.
Reddit. So I was able to get everything like half price, and that made it easier, when you've got all these diaper bills and formula bills, and
Yep.
everything comes with a new baby. So I purchased that, tried the new method.
And can I ask so what made you so you tried out the stuff for like a few days with FAR. What did you like right away that made you like, okay, I'm just going to buy everything?
Okay. So a couple things, just the conciseness of the audio notes, like just cutting through the mess, and just the efficiency of the notes. I could tell like, okay, this is going to work. The concept of just the easy MCQs throughout the day, like not, 2 paragraphs. And then the answer is, well, A is wrong because D is right,
Yeah.
So that I was just sold. And then I didn't initially purchase the pro course, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to buy the pro course. I'm going to just go all in. Whatever Nate says to do, I'm going to do. So I purchased, the rest of the bundle and got the pro course and everything.
Okay. So after about 2.5 months, you find SuperFast CPA through that divine intervention, which I believe that.
Yeah.
And you just switch everything up. And what, did you just restart, or did you just continue from where you were? How did that look?
Yeah. So there's another component to it. So that's March 26th. So we had the S Corp and partnership deadline behind us, but we still had like the April 15th deadline.
Yep.
So I tried to attempt to study, and it's like, you know what? My original FAR exam date was like June 1st. I was like, it's just not going to happen. I'm going to need to just restart from scratch. I think I was like on F7 with Becker. And I was like, I just need to go back to square one, first chapter, restart the super fast way. So I thought, I'm not going to do anything until after tax season's done. I think I have the blueprint now. I'm just going to wait until after April 15th. So I get to that point, and I start implementing the method, but something was still off with like the Becker explanations. I'm like, I feel like this should work, and I know it can work, but it may just be the program I'm using, like my main course. So I did a lot of research on and found Universal CPA, and they had which made the SuperFast method flow even better, because they had a video for every multiple choice question. So whereas Becker, they give you a consolidation question, and like the explanation is a wall of text, and it's like reading, an academic research paper. Universal has like cartoon videos that explain it really well, and you just get it, right? Like you can watch a 30-second video. That's how that works. And a lot of their questions are the same as Becker, just better explanations. So the combo of SuperFast with Universal was like having Shaft in their prime. Like it was incredible. Like going in, studying after having that, and then looking back, comparing it to when I just used Becker. I mean, it was night and day.
Yeah. So, and did you find out that stuff about Universal just from like your research and everything, or did you do a trial?
Yeah. So similarly for them, I did a trial, like a 7-day trial, and I think I purchased their entire course after the first 10 minutes. I'm like, this is it. This this mixed with SuperFast, like they pair really well together. And I think I heard another person on the podcast mention that before. I forget who it would have been in what episode, but somebody else mentioned that. And great.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 180 something episodes at this point. So no, I get it. So let's kind of get into like your real studying at this point. So, you switch everything up, you get Universal as well. And we already know what your studying looked like. You were trying to do all the check boxes and everything. So what changed? What did your studying look like now?
The first thing I changed was studying in the mornings. So before, I would study at night, and by the time we got our newborn down, I may start at 10 p.m. Well, I'm exhausted, from the day, from working a long tax season day, doing all of the things that a newborn requires, getting her down. And then we were up all night during that season of life. So studying would be interrupted. So switching to the mornings was like the first game changer. That was like the first big change I implemented that worked immediately.
And so you start studying in the morning, and was that the 2-hour session? Is that what you did?
Yeah, for me, it was like an hour and a half session, but I mean, the same concept. So I would do new MCQs for the first hour, and then the last 30 minutes, I would do review questions. I would just review everything I did before. And so restarting from chapter 1, and then with the new program, it just like doing a review. If I didn't understand a question with Becker, I may take 20 minutes on one question, trying to understand what they're talking about. And then doing the review method with the Universal quick video. Okay, well, now I understand it in 2 minutes. I can go to the next review question, right? And truly understand what I just, the question I just attempted.
And did you feel like, because I don't really know much about Universal, if I'm being honest, did you feel like the questions built on each other well? Like, okay, I learned this concept, next question kind of builds, like, just curious how that worked.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. And they had a lot of the same questions as Becker, just,
I mean, every single review course has pretty much the exact same or very similar, because it's all based off the AICPA questions. So,
one thing that they had that may sound like a disadvantage, but to me was an advantage, is they had less questions. And that might have been my first post in the Superfast forum was, am I complete every single Becker question for every module? And because I'm like, there's no way I can get through a module a day with Becker in a 2-hour span. It's just impossible. And like actually understand what I'm supposed to be, learning. So they had less questions. So I was able to get through the material faster, which meant I could review more. And again, they didn't have as many redundant questions.
Just a little bit more. It seems like it was a bit more focused. Like, here's just a few questions to learn this concept. You don't need 20 questions to learn it. Okay.
Yeah. You didn't need 20 questions on itemized deductions. You need 5, and you're going to understand the concept really well with those 5.
Okay. So, you switch all this up, you do the 2-hour, and then did you also start doing the mini sessions as well?
Yeah, I implemented that immediately as well. So I had those audio notes playing constantly. If I wasn't studying, I had the audio notes on. If I didn't have the audio notes on, I was doing the MCQ questions, the quick 5-question quizzes. Like there was no waking hour or I wasn't like entrenched or engulfed in the material. Like I was constantly in the material.
That's exactly what they're built for. So I'm glad that you did that way. So what did that look like for the mini? Like, you're saying that you did it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, did that look like when you're driving to work? What did it look like at work?
So part of my typical day would be I would finish like my hour and a half in the morning, like walking back upstairs to get ready. I'm already having the audio notes playing. They're playing while I'm in the shower, getting ready, while I'm making my daughter's breakfast in the morning, on my way to work. I listen to them sometimes during work. At lunch, I'm hitting as many 5-question quizzes as I can. On the way home from work, I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm hanging out with the kids. I might be doing, quick 5-question quizzes while I'm pushing them on the swing or whatever. When I'm feeding my daughter a bottle, I'm either doing a quiz or I was listening to the lecture or the review notes, or I would listen to a podcast if I just needed like a break from the notes. I would listen to the podcast, try to get inspiration from how other people studied and, other successful exam takers, whatever methods they would have had that I would be unaware of. I was just constantly in the material. And if I wasn't doing that, then I was on the CPA subreddit trying to see what has anyone else done that has passed these. Like, is there any like little edge I can gain from somebody else?
Yeah. And two questions with that. Did you ever use the review notes, like the reading through the notes as well?
Yep. So I used those during my final review. Okay. So I would kind of look at them a little bit and do I would like go through them and highlight areas, or I'd make like a little text box note on the PDF of like review this, or something to make a certain concept stand out for my final review. But yeah, those review notes for me really came into play during the final review.
Okay. And then my second question was, and we kind of were talking a little bit about this before we actually started the call with the podcast. What do you remember anything that you heard through the podcast that was like, hey, I'll try that, and it was something that worked for you? Do you remember anything like that?
There's somebody so I'm a big coffee drinker. There's somebody who once mentioned I like to get myself up in the morning when I've been studying at night. I would like make my coffee the night before, have an auto timer set. So when I wake up, I already smell the coffee. I'm ready to get up and go. That was one thing. And so I tried that like the first night. Like, and again, I was not getting much sleep during this.
Yeah. I know. I
season
know how
five.
it goes.
I don't think our youngest daughter, I don't think she slept a full night until the day after tax season ended. Born in November, and it was like April 16th, she decided to sleep. So
that sounds very similar. So I have 3 kids, and my our newest, she's almost a year old, and yeah, it took like probably 6 or 7 months for us to actually to like get her sleep trained, like to be able to have her sleep through the night. So I definitely understand and actually when I was going through the exams, our son was only 3 months old. So he was also, so like, I totally get the doing all this, but not really getting sleep. So, I mean, but that just shows like you can do it. Like even with all this stuff going, like if you have the right strategies, you can do it. And that you're proof of that as well.
Yeah. Well, and I think for me, just hearing that did it like was just a big help.
Yeah.
Like if I was like, subscriber number 1 to Superfast, harder to like buy in, but to hear so many other people say, yeah, I bought in, I'm going to go full in on this method, I'm going to trust that it's going to work. I think that gave me a lot of confidence that, okay, it's worked for all these other people who all had different things going on in life, and they could have used whatever as an excuse, but instead they decided to go all in. They're going to follow this to a T and it worked. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to go all in as well, and I'm just going to trust it's going to work out if I give it my all.
Yeah. And so what happened? So had you not taken any exams yet before all this happened? Okay. No. So you hadn't taken any exams yet.
I hadn't taken any exams. So to be honest, so my oldest daughter at the time was in preschool. So my original goal was to pass the exams by the time she graduated kindergarten, which is spring 2026. Actually, she was about to start preschool that fall, in fall 23. And I thought, okay, if I can get these knocked out by the time she graduates kindergarten, I won't have to be doing this, while she's in elementary school. I really thought it would take me like 3 years. I did not think I would pass them all in the first try. I mean, I actually job shadowed one of the partners at the CPA firm that I work for now back in college, and thought, I'm honestly probably not smart enough to do accounting. Like I can do the science stuff, I can do organic chemistry, probably not smart enough to do accounting. That's probably not my so well, turns out I am smart enough. And it just took, I think, a little bit of faith and effort to make it happen. So yeah, initially I had no thought that I could like pass these easily. So started studying in January, and I scheduled FAR for like June 1st. So I thought it'll take me 5 months to study for FAR. I heard so many horror stories about it, the low pass rates of like high 30s, low 40%. It just seemed impossible, honestly. I didn't know if I would even pass that one.
Yeah. And so you had it scheduled for June 1st, but you kind of stopped studying until after April 15th. So you only had about a month and a half of studying with SuperfastCPA. Yeah. Did you still take it on June 1st, or how did that go?
I rescheduled. So I found Universal probably like May 20th. And I think I was already going to reschedule my exam. I might have rescheduled it to like June 30th.
Okay.
Like May 20th. And then I rescheduled it again for July 31st. So I was like, okay, that is like 8.5 weeks. If I follow this method and I used Universal as the main course, I'm pretty sure I'll have a shot. Just go all out. Like my summer is going to be deleted. Like just go all in. Like, so our office actually has Fridays off in the summer.
Yeah.
So that was my advantage. And I thought, okay, I can study 8-10 hours every single Friday. And then, just have these cram sessions every Friday. Mm-hmm. And so I thought I'm going to need that to pass FAR. So yeah, moved it to July 31st.
Okay. And so what happened? Like, I'm pretty sure that you said you passed them all first try. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
How did it feel going in for your first exam ever? You've had all these months to prepare. What did that exam feel like?
So that first exam was, I would say, chaotic. So I had been practicing with like a whiteboard and a Sharpie, and I get in there and it's like paper and pencil. I'm like, okay. So already like how I've like practiced writing the formulas is going to be different now. And then the calculator they gave me was like the buttons were sticky. So like if I hit the 4, nothing would register. I'm like, oh shoot. Like I've been practicing with a calculator instead of Excel. So now I need to just on the fly switch how I've been writing things and switch how I've been calculating things. The testing center I went to, it had like a really small 4x3 monitor. And so to open up attachments for the sims, like I couldn't see like hardly anything on there. The light above me went out during the exam, so then I can't see the paper I'm writing on. It was chaotic. I spent 2.5 hours on the MCQs. I thought I had a break after that, but no, it was after the first sim I had a break, the first set of sims. So the first sim that I got was a consolidation, and that was like the one thing I was praying that I did not have. I spent like 30 to 40 minutes on that, and then just erased all of my work, put zeros in the trial balance, and went on because I had read on Reddit that it's better to put all zeros if you're not sure than to change an account that does not need to be changed. So I remembered that, and I was like, I am not confident in any of this work. So I erased all of that. Anyway, I get to like what I think is the final sim, and I've got like 20 minutes left, but there were actually 3 sims. I'd forgotten how many sims I actually had in the exam. So I had 20 minutes to finish out the final 3 sims. I get to the last one, time runs out, and I just stare at the screen, and I'm like, I cannot believe I just spent my whole summer studying for an exam that I probably failed. Could not believe it.
Yeah, I mean, so you're saying that you didn't get to submit the last sim, is that right?
No, I did not.
Okay.
The time ran out.
Dang.
Yeah. So we had a vacation that we were going on that week. So like 3 or 4 days later, that was a Monday, 3 or 4 days later, we went on vacation. But the very next day, I just started studying for BEC. So this is 2023.
Yeah, so BEC was still there. Okay.
Yeah, it was still there, and the exams were about to change to like the quarterly release. So this was still when it was 2-3 week release. So I felt like I was on this time crunch to knock out as many as possible before the year. I knew I probably had time to take 3 exams. So we go on vacation, and I'm studying BC every morning. And it's we actually had like a lot of family. Like we rented this huge house in the mountains and over in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. There are like probably 20 of us in this house. I'm up first before everybody studying. We're walking around the town. I'm doing MCQs on my phone. Like I studied the whole week. Like mentally I was in the material. Like I don't even hardly remember the trip. We came back home for 2 weeks. I studied every day. That was one thing. I never took a day off. I studied every single day. There was like the day after an exam, I studied. The only time I had off would be the drive home from the exam. Which I was like 2 hours from the testing center. So I would kind of let yourself
decompress and stuff like that.
Decompress. Yeah. Then the very next morning I was back into new material. So anyway, we had another trip in before BEC to Disney World. So in Disney World, I am studying the whole time. I'm like, again, I'm there, but I'm not like mentally present. Like I'm in the material. I'm doing questions the whole time. Like I don't remember anything about the trip other than that. So we had those 2 trips within like a 3-week span, like one with my family, one with my wife's family. And then I took BEC, I think it was 7 weeks after FAR.
And when had you already found out your FAR score at that point?
Yeah. So actually, I think it was after the Disney World trip. We got back, and then I found out that I passed FAR. And
and how did you feel about, like, were you like, there's no way, like, how did I pass that? Like, what was your score? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. So I remember, like the whole day, like checking Reddit and people saying, oh, it released in my state, it released in my region. And so I think for Missouri, it released at like 5:45, so just a little bit out of after work. And so before we checked the score, I mean, man, I was like shaking nervous. I was so nervous that like I was going to add a year of studying to my life, and I was already like 4 years into it from when I switched into accounting. So we pulled up like the screen before you hit like the view results button, and just our little family, we said a prayer, and I said something like, I pray I can stay humble if I pass and motivated if I fail. And my 3-year-old said, Daddy, you're not going to fail. So I was like, okay, that's a pretty good sign there. I looked you, and instead I had a 75, and I just like fell on the floor. I could not believe
That's that's awesome.
the feeling of the 75 on FAR was better than passing like the other 3 exams combined.
Oh yeah, I could like it, like especially with how that experience had gone, like where you're like, I still passed even with that, like that's amazing.
When I got home the night of the exam, I went on Reddit and searched FAR miracle stories and just read every miracle story of somebody passing FAR when they thought they failed, like that was on the site. So
I mean, great. I definitely identify with that feeling. Like I very similar to you. I just went to the next exam every single time. And I remember that I think the day or two before I was like, no, there's no way I failed. And so I actually went back to studying FAR because I was just like 100% convinced that I had failed, but I didn't. So like, I definitely get that feeling. And was just curious, kind of like, and maybe we could talk a little bit about this in general. What did your family think when they saw that 75? Like what did they feel like?
Oh man, like just relief. Like I think I had, all my immediate family, my wife and daughters, everybody was like praying for me. And then I think all the partners at our office were just thrilled. I sent them a text, and I think everybody was just excited because I knew how much work I put into it. And then for me personally, it gave me the confidence, like, okay, if I can pass FAR, I can pass any of them. Like that was the big hurdle. I knew like if I can pass FAR, the others are all doable.
Yeah. So, and how did the rest go after that? Like you were studying for BC. I mean, obviously you passed all of them, but what was the kind of the timeline with that?
Yeah. For the next 2, because of the compressed deadline, I think the blackout period was like the first week of December. I really just had like 7.5 weeks the other 2 exams.
Like total? Okay.
No, 4 to study each. Like 7.5 for BEC,
okay.
7.5 for audit.
Okay.
And then I had to take REG under the new
in 2024.
Yeah, in 2024. So for BEC, like the first set of MCQs, I felt pretty confident. I think I only flagged like 4. And a lot of it had overlap with the series exams I'd already taken, like the Series 65, 6, 63. A lot of those finance and economics questions were overlapped to stuff I'd already seen. The second set of MCQs, I think I flagged every other one, like literally half of them. And I thought, oh my gosh, am I going to fail this one? So I felt definitely more confident leading that exam. And I got that score back, and it was in 83. Okay. So when I got that, I'm like, wow, I am halfway done. And then for audit, like the studying for that didn't seem nearly as intense because there was no math. Like it was tricky, but it didn't feel as hard.
A lot more like logical thinking, like thinking through things,
Yeah. So I sat for that exam in November, and it was going to be my last one. And I had just enough time, I think, to reschedule it, to retake it the first week of December if I passed. Okay. But not enough time to like take a whole new section. So like if I passed that, I wouldn't have had enough time to study for REG. So I took that, and during that test, it honestly kind of felt easy. And I walked out of that test thinking I maybe made a 90. I got that one back when I made a 76. So I barely passed it. I was way overconfident there.
But hey, in the end, doesn't matter. But that's pretty funny. Like, I think I did like 90 on that one.
Yeah, it's like, I think I crushed that one. It's just a 76, just like 2 points above passing.
That's awesome. And so what did studying look like in 2024? Because it was, I mean, I was working for SuperfastCPA at that point. So I was dealing with everybody, talking to everybody with that. Did you change your study method at all? Or was it more just like you had to wait for months to get the result?
So with it being the last exam, I put in even more hours because I did not want to pass and have to wait another quarter. And then like a thing that was weighing on me, like probably the toughest part of the exam is I felt like I was missing out on so like the first year of my second daughter's life, I felt like I missed the whole thing. And the only way to get past that and to like be present with my kids was to pass the exams and put them behind me. So like studying less and trying to have more work-life balance wouldn't like ensure that I actually passed. So I thought, okay, I'm just gonna have to double down. I don't want to fail this final exam and, retake this in the summer and spend another summer doing this. So what my week kind of looked like during tax season. So I'd study in the morning before work longer hours during tax season. And then I would start studying again at like between 7:45 to 8:15 at night. And I would study until probably 11:30 or midnight. And then we work Saturdays. And so I would work from either 6 or 7 a.m. until like, I don't know, maybe 1 p.m. I would get home, take a 1-hour break, and then study from 2 p.m. until 2 a.m. And then I would sleep in a little bit Sunday. And then I would study from, say, like 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. and then like have Sunday night with the family, or work a little bit more Sunday night and catch up on tax stuff. And so I did that for, I don't know, from the first week of January until the test March 25th. And it literally felt like every day was just able to get to the weekend to then do like the cram session every single weekend. But again, I did not want to fail. I wanted to make
breaks.
sure that I never had to do this again. Yeah, I did not have a break. Like I didn't listen to like a fun podcast. I didn't watch a TV show. Like I watched a little of the football playoffs, but not really. Like they maybe were in the background. But I'm a huge basketball fan. I miss March Madness. Didn't watch hardly any of it. I just wanted to make sure up until March 25th, but I wanted to make sure that this final exam because March 25th and the score release was June 4th. And then the next time I could retake an exam, I think I would find out in September. Oh, yeah. I just front loaded all of the work, went all in, and just ensured that I was going to pass.
Yeah, I remember talking to so many people, and some people did take it in like January or February, and so they literally were waiting 4 or 5 months to get their. It was just ridiculous, honestly. So, what were you doing during that time where you were waiting for about 2.5 months? Were you still studying, or were you just like, I'm done, like I'm just gonna let it?
I was done. Okay. I saved reg for last. In tax is like the section of accounting that it's probably like, I guess, do best. I felt very, very comfortable during that test. Like I could just, because I've been at this CPA firm now at that point for 4.5 years. So during, I could just think of clients' returns that I worked on, and it was applicable to what I'd seen in practice. I could even like just think through our software, like, okay, where does that go? Well, it's on that form. Okay. And so I felt extremely confident that I'd pass that exam. So,
and and we know that you passed it, but what was your score in the end?
88.
88. So, was that your highest one?
Yeah.
That sounds like that was your highest one. Nice. So, and how did that
score? I feel like the scores coordinate with my my actual level. Like FAR, I probably am like a 75 on all of those topics. Already, I'm like a 76, probably lower. But like from tax, I'm in the 80s for sure. So.
Yeah. So what was it like to find out that final score? Like, did you guys celebrate? How did that feel?
Yeah. Honestly, it was kind of like, I'm gonna hold my celebration. My final goal isn't complete. I have the CFP coming up
because you want the CFP,
now I need
right?
To that. So I actually got my license. We did celebrate a little bit for like a few days. And I got to, I guess, have like 3 months off studying. I guess like the most free time I've had in 5 years. Started the journey in 2019, like in late summer 2019. And then I got my license in July, and then not CPA, but on the CFP side, thing a CPA has to do to sit for the exam is to take a capstone course. I enrolled in a capstone course through the University of Georgia. I completed that within like 2 weeks, and then August 1st purchased P materials. started the SuperfastCPA method to study for that. Took that exam November 11th. Found out like immediately they don't make you wait 3 months. They just tell you
Just
away,
like, yeah,
right
you
away.
passed. Man, I
And I
wish.
got my
Yeah.
exactly. And I actually got my certificate, like the CFP paper, like December. Was like, okay, now I'm finally done.
So, and I've had multiple people ask me about the CMA, which obviously is different than the CFP. But the big question that people are really asking is, can you use these strategies for other exams? And obviously, you can, as you just said.
Yeah.
So, what worked? Like, why do you think it still worked for the CFP, even though it's for even though it's super fast CPA?
The program is very efficient, like the method. So, like again, I watched all of Nate's pro course videos and just applied them how he said, and it's very efficient. Kaplan, similar to Becker, had like a lot of noise with the material that you just need through, and so I went straight to multiple and wrote out flashcards. And then another thing I did PA and CFP is I would make like a 1-page summary of topics, and so it might be like S corp versus partnership. On the left side is the S corp, on the right side is the partnership. And so when I'm in the exam, I can remember, okay, left side was that, right side was that, and then I could sync the question based on like my 1-page summary.
Right.
Or I may have like all of the information on a specific topic on that 1-page summary.
So was that kind of like your version of flashcards, or did you also do flashcards as well?
Both.
Okay.
I did both, but I wouldn't really review them until like
until the final
weekend,
review.
do the final review.
Okay.
Yeah, like so I would make them, or just like writing it just kind of reinforced the concept, even if I didn't immediately review.
Yeah, that's what I've seen a lot with notes and with flashcards is just the act of doing it. Obviously I'm not saying don't look at your notes and don't look at your flashcards. You still should do that. Yeah. But the act of doing it, like that process of trying to figure out how to make it make sense to yourself, of writing it down in a way that works for you, is a great way to help it stick, even besides, reviewing it later. So would you say that you just applied very similar strategies then? So like you went to the multiple choice questions, you did flashcards. And is it very similar? Like, do they have like, I don't know what it's like. Do they have sims as well? Or is it just multiple choice questions?
No, they don't have, they have, but it's like a chain of questions, but it's not like fill in the blank and would be.
Okay.
Case studies is what they're called. So it'd be like a specific client has all of the financial planning things going on, and the questions just chain together, but you can still like get question 1 wrong and question 7. Whereas a sim, the early concept, entire thing, you're gonna get
because it all is together. If you miss that, then that calculation's wrong and that calculation's wrong. Would you say that, I'm just curious, would you say that the CFP was, I mean, it's only one exam, right? But was it easier?
It's a 7-hour exam.
7 hours.
So it's longer. Okay. I would compare it to if you put REG and BEC together.
Okay.
More financial planning concepts in there, but it wasn't as deep. Whereas like far as a mile wide and a mile deep, the CFP was like a mile wide and an inch deep. Like there was a lot to cover. 7-hour exam. Questions weren't like as like difficult or I don't know,
just a little more, just more basic knowledge.
Yeah.
More surface level.
They definitely have finance math questions, but the CPA exam felt like every question was difficult. I mean, there were not hardly any gimmies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So kind of coming to the end here, just a few more questions to ask. If you could kind of summarize, throughout this whole interview, we've talked about a lot of different things, but what would be the top benefits that you got from SuperFast CPA?
I'd say just changing my whole mindset about study, and making me more efficient at studying, and just, I think, giving me the confidence to know that like I actually could pass these exams and pass them on first try.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a good feeling to pass these exams. It's just so awesome.
Each one, Like each one was so rewarding. But kind of my mindset in the moment was, okay, that's good. I have another one to go. I didn't
Yep.
celebrate for long. Once
Yeah.
I passed the CFP is when I really celebrated.
What did you guys do? Anything like go on a trip or anything?
We went on a little vacation the week after
Nice.
that exam. Yeah, around
Nice.
Christmas time. So it was pretty fun. Thing to mention was Sims, because I felt like I was asking people, how do you study for Sims?
Yeah.
And what I did is I went to Universal Sim section and would just watch their video, and then I would maybe click around in the modules just to get comfortable with, but I wouldn't actually practice one. But I would watch like every single sim video they had.
Okay.
And then
So
I would things on my computer and then like review those screenshots later.
okay. So you're saying that with Sims you more focused on like watching their walkthrough videos. Did you study the Sims on the weekends? Like when did you study Sims
No,
typically?
I really saved those for the final review.
Okay.
I'd say like if my final review consisted of 2 weekends, it would maybe be like the weekend before. Have seen them, and by my final review, which was always had like 2 full weeks for final review, and by that point, I will have already seen like every multiple choice question in Universal. Would have at least watched the video for every sim, so then I can go into the final review like really knowing what do I know, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses. Like I could be honest with myself at like where I'm at with the material.
Yeah. I think that's a huge we've talked about that in a lot of different podcast episodes, like being honest with yourself. Don't kid yourself. If you don't understand something, don't be like, oh, well, maybe I just won't get it on exam day. Or don't trick yourself into thinking that because you've memorized a question, you know the topic. Just curious, did you ever run into that issue with Universal? Like because you had seen the question so many times, you were like, I know the answer to this, but then you had to maybe step back and be like, no, I need to make sure I actually.
Smaller question bank, like I said. So yeah, I would be honest with myself. When I would go through my final review, I would hit each module, like let you have 5 question quizzes. And for me, I can get through 10 5-question quizzes way faster than one 50-question quiz. I need that hit of dopamine as I'm going through. So if I saw a question and like I know the answer, but can't actually work it out, I wouldn't count it. If that makes sense. Like I would try to hit 80% before I'd move on to another module. Go through, say, 20 questions, maybe like in 5-question increments, 20 to 40 questions, or some of their modules only had go through all 10, but I would try to hit 80% before I'd move on. I try to hit 80% before I'd move on. But I would be honest with myself if like, was that like kind of know the answer there? And if I didn't, then I would like do it again, rewatch. I had a whiteboard that I used to study, and I would just rewrite what they were writing and try to like really understand the concept in the question.
Yeah. Just a couple more questions. And you kind of already mentioned some stuff like this, but do you feel like studying like this allowed you to still have somewhat of a life? I mean, you did make a lot of sacrifices, but at the same time, you were still able to do some stuff with your kids, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Like,
still able to go on vacation. Like if I were to do the Becker method on vacation, I would have been in the room the whole day because it took so long to get like to their study methods. So yeah, like I could at least like leave the house and like leave the hotel room when I was on vacation. Absolutely. Yeah. Like it. And there are people who are much smarter than me who could just do the hour and a half in the morning or 2 hours in the morning and have the rest of their evening. And I, for the most part, did that for BEC and audit. I would just study in the morning until my final review week. For REG, I just went all out because it was the last one.
Like, there's no way I'm failing this one.
No way I'm going to fail the last one.
Yeah.
So
I can understand that.
It absolutely gave me more time back. Yeah.
That's awesome. And that's something that I always hope for. And because for me personally, before I started working for SuperfastCPA, CPA, that was a big thing that I loved about it was I was able to do my master's program, work, have 2 kids, do the CPA. And I felt like I still kind of had the occasional bit of time when I probably shouldn't have. And I wanted to help other people have that as well. So I'm glad to hear that you still were able to have some things that were enjoyable, even though, these exams are hard. And I guess the last thing that I wanted to ask you before, like we get to the final question, Was there anything about your process, kind of like Sims, you were mentioning Sims, anything about your process that we haven't gotten to talk about yet, but before the call, you were like, I would like to share this. Is there anything like that we've missed?
I'm going to start like on my final weekend, kind of what I would do.
Okay.
Nate would always talk about what was the phrase, like
The
the
48-hour cram session.
Yeah, cram session. Yeah, so I did that. So I would kind of start it on Friday night, but like Saturday morning, my wife would take the kids to her mom's, and they would stay to her mom's for the rest of the weekend.
Okay.
So I would study from early Saturday morning until probably 2 or 3 a.m. So maybe like, 10 a.m. until 2 or 3 a.m.
Dang.
And what I would do is I'd go back through every single question that I'd flagged, and I would try to get, again, an 80%, like through all my flagged questions. So I would do that, go through every single module, and then maybe just do some like bonus questions for fun. Then I'd go through all of my flashcards. Yeah, it's fun to pass. So
yes.
So I'd go back through all of my flashcards because I really saved those for this final weekend. Go through all those one-page sheets that I made. Go through, and then I'd kind of do like for a nightcap, I would then go through these super fast notes and like scroll through those on my laptop with like my eyes barely open at 2 a.m. and it get that out.
Yeah.
And then I would like put my phone in another room and I would just like sleep as like long as my body needed to. Just I wanted to be fully rested going into exam day. Wake up on Sunday and just do like a light review that day. Like my hard review was Friday night and Saturday. Then I do like a light review Sunday, just flashcards, just my one-page notes, and then again finish out with super fast notes, like no questions on the day before the test. And then I'd go to sleep early, and then I would wake up early on exam day. I usually scheduled my exams for like 1 p.m. And so
yeah, because you had your 2-hour drive. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would leave like at 9, and I try to get there in the parking lot like 2 hours before the exam, so I could flip through my flashcards and like the one-pager notes one more time, like right before I walk into the exam center.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's exactly, that's perfect because you've done all the hard work for your studying to get everything in your like long-term memory. And then you do that cram session in it. Then you also have it in your short. It's just all just right there.
Yeah. Every single test, there was something that a question I know I got right because I had just seen it before I walked in. Perfect. Like that I would have absolutely gotten wrong if I didn't do that, like that last 2-hour review. Then as soon as they would let you, I would write just like brain dump, like write down a bunch of critical info. Usually things that like I was getting stuff on during studying. So I would try to like keep those in my short-term memory, write them down. Like, okay, then when you're, on hour 3 of the exam and you have an hour left and it's stressful, like you've got that right there.
Just look down. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's perfect, honestly. I think that you've had some awesome tips throughout this interview. So as we're wrapping up, I asked this question to everybody. Last question, even if it's something we've already talked about throughout the interview, what would be your top 2 or 3 tips to people who are still going through the exams?
I would say, get SuperfastCPA if you haven't. Like the night that I listened to Nate's ad in full was literally the night like my whole journey changed. So I would say like definitely buy in and just do what Nate says, do what Logan says, and like the system works. I wish I had like listened to the ad in full earlier than I did. I would have saved myself like $3,000, probably wouldn't have purchased Becker and would have gone a different route from the start. And probably passed my exams like 3 months earlier and would have been done in 23 instead of 24.
Yeah. So that you'd say that's your biggest tip. Do you have any other things that like any other ideas that you'd love to share with everybody?
It really does come down to like trust the process, like the NBA phrase, the Sixers, like trust the process, like it's going to work. Okay. And like just like go all in. Like you can't halfway do it or like fool yourself that you're kind of doing the right things. Like go all in, actually do like what the process says to do, and you will pass.
Yep.
Like,
I'll add to that. Like, you can't pick and choose what
no.
to do. Like maybe if you've started passing exams and you've realized there's a couple things that you want to tweak, that's great. But if you're not passing exams, just do the process exactly
Yeah.
as it's laid out, just like you did it.
Like I'd get to the forums and like some people on Reddit or whatever, and in the Superfast forums, and people like weren't following what you guys said to do, and I'm like, well, there's your answer. Like, just follow what they're saying.
Yep.
Like, you can't say I bought the program, I'm gonna listen to the notes sometimes, I'm gonna listen, do the MCQs like the week before. Like, you have to actually do the process the whole time.
I bought SuperfastCPA. CPA. Why am I not passing? Well, you actually have to use it.
You have to use it. Yeah, I saw some, like, for all the naysayers out there, like I saw some post, it's like, oh man, that didn't work for me, it's a scam, blah blah blah. I'm like, did they actually do the program, or did they like think it was going to be easy? Like, this is hard no matter what program you use. Just the Superfast stuff makes it more efficient and more doable.
Yeah, I agree with that, obviously. So I think that you've had some awesome tips. It's been great talking to you, Jordan, and congrats on being done with CFP. I mean, that's awesome. We'll definitely share that with other people. But I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Logan.
All right, that was the interview with Jordan. Again, it was a great one. I really like that he was able to apply the concepts from Superfast CPA to not only the CPA, but the CFP exam as well. And I will always remember his story of, kind of that divine intervention, as he calls it, where he was across the room when that ad popped up and he wasn't able to skip it. And it turns out that was exactly what he needed to be able to change his process and pass the CPA exams. So I loved that story, and I loved that interview with Jordan. I'm sure you enjoyed it too. I hope that you listened through all of it, because again, he had a lot of great tips and a lot of great strategies. As we're ending this interview, I want to give one more reminder about our Superfast CPA training webinar on SuperfastCPA.com. Again, it's a 1-hour webinar that is free, where we will teach you the key ingredients to passing the CPA exam so you don't waste months or even years of your time failing exams. So make sure you check that out. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video or leave a comment or leave a rating in your favorite podcast app. Thanks for watching or listening, and we will see you in the next episode.